Welcome to my series based on Zentangle's Bijou Be Well, done in May 2025. Each day, Zentangle put out a video featuring one pattern, and the design was meant to be drawn in a short amount of time, so you could just take a little time for yourself and kind of get yourself centered. I encourage you to go visit their YouTube channel. I'll have the link down in the comments, and you could see how they did their designs. This series is meant to walk you through how to draw each design, and then also to give you some alternative ideas for embellishments and ways to kind of zhuzh up that pattern. This video covers Fife. For all cards in this series, I used the same tools, so you will see in every single video in this series a blue Micron 05 pen, a General's Indigo blue chalk pastel pencil, an 8B graphite pencil, two Tortillons, so one for blue, one for black, and white tiles. And of course, that's my trusty little pencil sharpener there as well. If you followed along with the Zentangle series, you will notice that they also include a white pencil and a Tortillon for that. I chose to not use those for my series because I'm using a white tile, and I find that the white chalk pastel pencil really doesn't add very much to the design. Take a moment to gather your tools, get yourself centered, make sure you're sitting comfortably in your chair. When you're ready, let's begin. We begin with a seed-shaped string going diagonally from corner to corner. Draw one arc bowing towards the outside corner, and then another arc to make that seed shape. Put down your pencil and grab your pen. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a series of dots right down the middle of that seed shape, leaving some space between them. We're going to try to make them as evenly spaced as possible, although if they're not perfect, that's okay. And then following the outside line of the seed shape, create another series of dots that just follows the line, but pretty much lines up with the dots that you did in the middle. And now we're going to go right down the middle. Starting at that top dot, I'm going to do a little arc one way and then a little arc the other way to create little rice shapes. And so this is how we're going to connect all of the dots going down the middle. And once we complete that, go back up to the top. And now we're going to do those little rice shapes going over the arc. So starting at the top dot again, put a little rice shape between the top dot and the next dot down on the arc. And then just continue following the line down and do this on the other side as well. Next, turn your card, and we're going to connect the dots going across the seed. So we're going to start right there at the top again. And we end up with a cross shape of those little rice shapes in the middle of the seed. Next, we're going to use just the four-sided shapes for this. And I'm going to draw a diagonal going from the outside corner to the inside corner. Then on the other side, the opposite side of the box I just did, I'm going to do the same thing outside corner to inside corner. So I'm making a V shape between those two rice shapes. And we're going to go back up to the top again to that first box, and we're going to complete the box by doing another diagonal from the inside corner to the outside corner. When I run into the first diagonal I drew, I'm going to pick up my pen and come out on the other side. So it looks like the rice shape that I'm drawing is going behind the first diagonal. Now I'm going to put an orb in each of the resulting triangle shapes. So starting right at the very end of the seed shape now, I'm going to put 2 bigger orbs there because those are bigger triangles. And then I'm going to work my way down, and I'm going to stuff the largest orb I can in each triangle shape, but there will be space along basically the points of those triangles. So once I get done with the orbs, I'm going to go back and I'm going to fill that space in so that each space will have an orb in it that is surrounded by ink. Next, we're going to work with the intersections of all of those rice shapes. So where the rice shape comes together, at the very end of the rice shape, I'm going to put a couple little lines. I think of this as a piece of fabric that is gathered there or being kind of crunched together in a knot. And I'm going to put 2, maybe 3 lines, whatever fits in that space. I'm not going to try to cram more than what will fit there. And I'm keeping those fairly close to that intersection. I'm not going to go too far away. And the point of this is to just give it a little more dimensionality, and then also to start creating what will end up being a low light for each of these little individual shapes. Grab either your chalk pastel pencil or your graphite pencil. This next step can be done with either. Each of these orbs, I'm going to put an arc of either color or graphite. The arc is going to face the same direction for every single one of these little orbs. And this is going to end up being a way to round out the orbs and add some color. And if you're using a chalk pastel pencil, Go ahead and put a little bit of blue or whatever color you're using over those little gather lines that we drew. If you are using just graphite, skip this step because you're going to end up with something that's a little too muddy looking by the time we're done. Next, grab your tortillon. On the rice shapes, you're going to pull and blend your blue out away from the intersections, but you're going to leave the middle of the rice shape white. So be careful not to pull it too far. For the orbs, you're going to pull either the blue or the graphite that you have in there around the orb so that there is a darker side, your low light, and a lighter side, which will be your highlight. Now with your graphite pencil, you're going to shade where the one diagonal overlaps the other diagonal. So I'm putting a little bit of pencil on either side of the diagonal that is on top onto that lower diagonal, just a tiny little bit. And then if you have not already used graphite in your orbs, I am going through and adding a little bit along the darkest part of the edge. So where it's already dark blue, I'm adding just a little bit of graphite on that edge to deepen that shadow as well. When I blend these things out, on the orbs, I'm keeping the pencil fairly close to the edge of the orb itself. I don't want to completely get rid of all the blue that is in there. So I want to have some blue and then I want it to kind of fade to gray. For the overlaps, I'm also keeping the pencil very, very close to the line. I don't want to go too far away from that line. We want it to cast a very narrow shadow. With my graphite, I'm also going to put just a little dot of graphite at the intersection of each of those rice shapes, and then I will blend that out, also keeping it very, very close to the intersection. So I'm not going to completely eliminate the blue that is there. And finally, I'm going to run a little bit of graphite along the outer edge of my seed shape here. And then when I blend it out, I'm going to blend it along the line. I'm not going to put the graphite up onto the pattern itself. So if anything, I'm going to blend it a little away. And this is just to kind of clean up the border. If there are places where, especially when you were doing those little center bits where you have some graphite kind of hanging out on your card, this is a great way to just blend it all together and smooth out the border. Take a minute and appreciate what you created here. And when you're ready, pick up your pen and add your chop to your design. And there you have it, Fife.